Hi, everyone. Welcome to this month's Miracle Conversation. It's August. It's been a really nice summer so far, and we're so glad to have you watching our show. In this show, we love to get together and talk about miracle mindsets and transformational information, and we're really fortunate to have you guys watching this. So for those of you who haven't watched before, my name is Brittany, and for those of you who have been watching before, you know that I am a freelance business owner living in Barcelona, but I recently started a new job as a digital marketing consultant, which I'm really excited about. So now I can say, hi, I'm Brittany, and I'm a digital marketing consultant in Barcelona. So also we have Dave Asomaning here, Dr. Dave Asomaning. Why don't you introduce yourself for our audience, please?
Thank you, Brittany, for hosting these interviews, and also congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the adding the digital marketing consulting component to your work. I'm very excited about that. So, looking forward to hearing and learning more as we evolve over time. So, I'm an executive coach, and I live in Florida. And I specialize in supporting CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, and other leaders to develop miracle mindsets. So the real emphasis on my work is miracle mindsets in my executive coaching work. And these miracle mindsets um, lead to improved effectiveness, ease, and fulfillment in the professional and personal lives of the leaders that I work with. And I'm really passionate about miracle mindsets, and this whole uh, interview series that uh, Brittany, you and I have been doing is all about this year anyway. 2021 has been about forgiveness as a pretty significant aspect of miracle mindset. And today we're going to look at lesson 62 and go a little bit more deeply into miracle mindset by way of the forgiveness process. So back to you, Brittany.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. I love hearing about what you do. It's very inspiring. I love your fields of work. It's such an amazing field to be in, just constantly thinking about miracles and forgiveness and really enlightening concepts here. So today is no exception. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about lesson 62 from A Course in Miracles. And in this series, we like to pull in different lessons and analyze them and apply them to our theme for this year. And this lesson is directly related to the topic of forgiveness. Lesson 62 says, "Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world." And I'll just go ahead and start with a little introduction on what this means to me. The first thing that I noticed is this phrase, "the light of the world," and I think it's such a beautiful concept for us to be the light of the world. I had a really good friend, and she shared with me that ever since she was a child, her mother would always tell her, "You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world," and that was an affirmation that she would sow into her daughter from a young age. And I thought that was really beautiful. And so this lesson, it gives us a process by which we are to become the light of the world. And that process is forgiveness. So I can't wait to hear more about what you think about this passage, Dave, and how we can apply this to our lives as leaders and entrepreneurs and such.
Great. Brittany, thank you for that introduction uh, around the lesson and your connection to it, what you were thinking about it. Excellent. So, as a preliminary point, I wanted to mention that we've looked at lesson 63 earlier in the year as part of this series. And lesson 63, which comes right after lesson 62, which is the lesson we're looking at today, lesson 62. Lesson 63 says, "The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness." Right? And Brittany, you picked up on this idea of the light, right? Being the light of the world. And so I just wanted to return to that lesson very briefly and say, when we did it, when we looked at that lesson, we were talking about how the light of the world is primarily a light located in God, and that light works through us and specifically through our forgiveness to bring peace to every mind in the world. So there's like this telepathic engagement that we participate in which the light in God's mind is channeled through our minds by virtue of our forgiveness work that we do into every other mind and provides it with peace. So, um, if we pivot to lesson 62, which comes before this and is a prelude to lesson 63, which I just recapped, then the headline there is forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And it almost seems, as you pointed out, Brittany, to be making the case that we are the light of the world, right? And so that um, I don't think should be confusing in the sense that there's the part of God that is the light of the world, and we share in or participate in that light. And so we are also the light of the world through the divine aspect of our own minds, right? So just between lesson 62 and lesson 63, unless, in case there seems to be some kind of discrepancy there, wanted to tidy that up. And then the thing that caught my attention as I was preparing for our interview today, our program today, Brittany, was that this thing about forgiveness being my function or our function, right? And so I was thinking, I was saying to myself, okay, so a refrigerator has a specific function. It cools things down in there and keeps food fresh for the most part. An air conditioner keeps the environment cool and comfortable. Heater keeps it warm when it's cold in the wintertime. A car gets us from point A to point B, and so on, right? Things have specific functions, or if we pivot to careers, if a person becomes a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or an actress or actor, there's a certain confirmation that happens when a person settles into the work that they want to do, even though that, those sort of vocational niches can change, right, over time. But when we settle into something, it really does confirm that we're in that role. And there's a certain concentrated attention that we bring to the role. There's a power to it. Right? And so I think that the gift of the course in this lesson is that we are being told, I think basically, that the main purpose we have, like an air conditioner, a fridge, or a doctor, or a lawyer, the main purpose we have is to engage in forgiveness. That's our main purpose. That's our main function in this life. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if that would be intriguing and interesting to the audience to hear that, or whether it would be alienating and sort of disconnecting. Because I'm sure people have all kinds of ideas about what the purpose of life is. But to hear that there's this one specific thing that the Course says is the most important part of it, I wonder how people would react to this as our main function. So let me check with you, Brittany, and see if you have any reactions to that.
Yeah, I think that, well, thank you also for clearing up that discrepancy about who is the light of the world, and it is God, and by God being within us and Source being within us, and we are also the light of the world. Thank you for clearing that up. But yeah, hearing this as as a student of this type of thinking, I want to point out what it says in the Course after it says forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And that kind of adds some clarity for me and motivation, because right after that it says, I would fulfill my function that I may be happy. So it doesn't just, an air conditioner doesn't have any motivation to cool the house. It's just programmed to do so. And humans aren't that simple. We're not just programmed. We hardly even follow our actual instincts anymore. So we want to have a reason, a motivation, a benefit for everything. And so it tells us that benefit is for us to be happy. Forgiveness makes us happy. And then above that, how does it make us happy? It does that by allowing us to let go of the illusions about ourself or the world simulation, it says. So by letting go of those illusions, we are practicing forgiveness so that we can be happy. And I feel like that kind of, reasoning combined is motivating and informative and complete.
Beautiful, beautiful. You've taken us right into the meat and potatoes of the lesson itself, around the kind of the selling of this to us.
Right.
You know, that the teacher in the course is saying, yeah, it's your main job. It's your main work is to do forgiveness work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, yeah, but I mean, if you just say that and leave it at that, that's not going to be very motivating or appealing. Or, I mean, what's in it for us, right? And you've just laid it up so beautifully, and then you've gone even further. I love what you did there about talking about the reason that forgiveness will make us happy is because the course's definition of forgiveness is releasing illusions about ourselves, right? Or if we bring in Ho'oponopono, which some people might be familiar with in our audience, it's about letting go of negative vibrations that we're carrying, or negative programming, or negative patterning, right? And so as we let go of those things, um, we we get in touch with our true nature, right? So even in coaching work, I mean, a big part of the coaching work, um, that I enjoy doing with my clients is listening to their movie or their nightmare or their illusions, which I have too, right? It's not that I don't have the illusions, I have them about myself, and they'll ups and downs, and the struggles and the difficulties and the challenges, and I'll say, okay, let's take out the popcorn and soda and let's just watch your movie together. Let's watch it. And then at the end of it, we'll be like, yeah, okay, let's pivot to another way of understanding that this is the ego's illusion about who you are. It's not who you really are. And the ones that the narrative I have within the simulation is not who I really am. There's something more fundamental, more basic, more powerful about who we all are. And forgiveness is the letting go of the kind of accumulated illusory narrative. And yeah, so I just love how you framed this for us. So just a couple other quick points. Well, before I do that, let me just see if there's anything else on your mind, at this point, and then I'll just whiz through the actual paragraphs and highlight a few things, and then we usually get to the exercise that's embedded in the lesson. So, anything you
Okay.
wanted to add?
No, I'm good. You keep going. You're on a roll.
Okay, great. So, you've already covered paragraph one beautifully. Um, in paragraph two, it highlights that the illusions or the encrusted, accumulated narratives we have about negative narratives we have about ourselves are the same as the illusions about the world. The two are the same. So if we forgive things we see in the simulation, a political leader we don't like, or a tragedy we don't like, or a catastrophe climate wise, or whatever it is that we see that we don't like, as we forgive those things or release our attachment to them as being anything else than an illusion, we also then release further illusions about ourselves, right? Um, in paragraph three, uh, it begins to accentuate then the benefits again of forgiveness work. It says every time we remember to forgive or release an illusion, we tap into our true strength. Every time we choose to attack or lean into the illusion, we call on weakness. And in this section, there's a beautiful sentence here. It says, forgiveness work will remove all sense of weakness, strain, and fatigue from your mind. It will take away all fear and guilt and pain, and it will restore the invulnerability and power God gave to you, for you to enjoy in your awareness. I'm like, wow, okay, that's worth reflecting on and digesting for a period of time. It's a very clear binary system, right? Attacking will make us weak, forgiving, releasing illusions will restore us to this source of inner power. Um, then in paragraph 4, it pivots to practicing. And the practice, and this is a very short lesson, and the practice really involves going over this sentence: forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. I would fulfill my function that I may be happy. I'll say it again. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. I would fulfill my function that I may be happy. And there we have it in a nutshell, the kind of combining of us performing our function as a key to our being happy. Um, and then it just says reflect on, all the things you're entitled to as you do your forgiveness work, and let all kinds of other sort of encouragements and inspirations come into your mind about this. So, and then it says if your mind or your attention wanders, just repeat the idea again. I would remember this because I want to be happy. All right, so that's the whole lesson in a very sort of efficient nutshell from the course itself. Um, Anything you want to say at this point, Brittany, and then I'll share a quick illustration or two that's been coming to my mind as I was preparing for today.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that it's really nice that they gave us this affirmation to say, because we have been going through in our video series just different things that we can say to ourselves throughout our day, like let miracles replace all grievances. So now we have a new one to add to the repertoire that we can carry with us and say when we need to do the forgiveness work. I find that words are very strong and powerful for some people to recite to themselves. And if you're like me, then you should try to make a practice of saying that and doing the exercise.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's the course is really big on repetition and repetition of these affirmations, which I like as an antidote. A lot of people are familiar with there was a segment on Saturday Night Live where they used to make fun of affirmations way back in the day, and they're sort of new agey, weird, sort of scammy, sketchy, Um, yeah, and I mean, it's hilarious. It's very funny, but I think it's seeped into a lot of people's minds who were into Saturday Night Live at the time. So when maybe 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, but so when you bring up affirmation, I always make the disclaimer that we're not talking about affirmations in that way. That this is really like going to the gym and doing 5 reps on this piece of equipment and 5 on that and 10 on this and sit-ups and push-ups, and it's really about building muscle. Repeating this stuff is a portal to very, very powerful forces that we give permission to enter into our psyche. So glad you brought that up, about affirmation. So just a few points of application. Again, as I was preparing for the call, the program today, I was just over and over again, and my mind pivoted to a number of different successes that clients of mine have been having lately, where we've really worked consistently over a period of time. I'm thinking about maybe 3 or 4 different clients where they're very dedicated to miracle mindset. They show up for our sessions, they're into it, they follow the coaching regimen that I'm laying out, the modules, and it's a bit of an elaborate process. And it's gratifying to see people lean into it. But then it's even more gratifying when they reach a tipping point and it's like miracle here, miracle there, miracle here, miracle there. So whether it's on the personal level and finances clear up and pick up and start really shining very brightly, or relationships get improved, or in a couple of cases, I think there's just much more strategic clarity about which way to go with the company as a leader of the company for a client. In another instance, there's clarity about what to do with the team. Um, and then in one more instance that I'm thinking of, there was just an amazing breakthrough to an elevated level of leadership where there's just much more responsibility over so many more things. And um, part of the reason that it's gratifying for me is to see clients make the breakthrough for themselves, right? That's one of the gratifying parts of this. The other piece that's really gratifying is when a client gets a deeper understanding of what I refer to as them being the creator of a lighthouse brand, right? So let's say somebody is the CEO of XYZ company. By virtue of how they're building that company and how they're thinking in terms of this being the light of the world through forgiveness work, they're actually creating a lighthouse brand. And it's like, a lighthouse brand, what's that? And lighthouse brand is a brand in which the person running it as the main leader, CEO, executive, founder, owner, is using the brand as a way, without necessarily pontificating about all this stuff, to share the light of the world through the forgiveness that happens in their minds, right? So as part of the mindset, when they get to the place where they're like, oh, I totally get what a lighthouse brand means and why I'm the facilitator of a lighthouse brand, because this whole company is going to be organized on sort of, well, it doesn't, my miracle mindset is not the be all and end all of it. This is what the client will say, but it definitely is a catalyst to putting this vibe out into the world. So that's very gratifying to me when clients say, I get what you're saying when you say, I'm the founder or creator or promulgator, promoter of a lighthouse brand
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help to take this light of forgiveness into the world through my
Yeah.
leadership style. Yeah. So
And
anyway,
that's
all of
really
that is,
cool,
yeah,
as a coach, that your work as a coach then has this ripple effect that, you're coaching individuals that are leaders that are going to pass on this really positive mindset to the world. So that's really powerful.
that's right. Thank you for closing the loop on that uh, aspect of it, which is the thing that's so gratifying. It's like, wow, we're influencing through a lot of different channels by the world by introducing this idea of deeper light going into the world through the employees, through the other stakeholders around a firm or a company or a leader or their various constituents. I mean, it really is, it's like, wow, okay, I need to go back to the woodshed and practice my forgiveness so that what I'm sharing with my clients is focused and even more alive, so that they're also doing the same thing. Yeah, so it's virtuous circle there, and when it's working well, you know. Yeah, so thank you for your additional comments about that. Anything else you want to share from your end? I mean, that's mostly what I came to the call with today.
I just wanted to ask, I guess, what would you attribute to the synchronicity of success stories happening right now? Do you think there's something about the energy and the climate that's going on, maybe the light at the end of this pandemic tunnel happening or something like that? I went to yoga this morning, and the yoga teacher mentioned that tonight is a full moon and this is a blue moon, which is very rare. I don't know if it's the same over where you are, but she said here we're having a blue moon. They say once in every blue moon, and that is a symbol of new beginnings. And maybe there's something energetically to all this. I've had two new beginnings recently, my new job and my new house. So maybe there's something here.
Good point. Good point. I will sometimes hear from clients and different people that I work with on say my monthly Course of Miracles call, especially when we're having tech problems. Like if I'm trying to sign on, I keep getting kicked out, or somebody else keeps getting kicked out. They'll remind us, oh, there's a Mercury is in retrograde or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
And I usually don't know much about it, and I don't pay
neither
all
do
that much
I.
attention.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but it's helpful when somebody says that. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's stuff going on there. Same thing when there's a full moon. Oh, there's a full moon. Okay, I get it. There's more problems and issues. So I think that, yeah, there's always bigger currents that we're participating in, huge different sort of things. So I definitely think that's part of it. I also think that for me personally, it's an answer to prayer, right? So one of my prayers or one of my intentions or one of my goals is to be a reliable, effective, trustworthy advisor to top leaders in a lot of different sort of areas of endeavor. And so there's this constant dialogue with spirit about how I should go about doing that. right? And um, a little bit like when I was doing my PhD, my advisor, um, she was just really tough. And she always used to say, "You're not going deep enough. You got to go deeper." And I'd be like, in my mind, I'd say, if I go any deeper, I'll burst through to the other side. There'll be nothing left. I'll be like shooting past. And
Hmm.
I mean, it was a silly little thing I used to say to myself. I said, I've gone as deep as I know how to go. I don't know how to go any deeper.
Hmm.
And, but the point is that I think Spirit has been saying the same thing to me, right? And I'm accustomed to it from my human earthly advisor with a very specific project. But I hear, yeah, you're kind of gliding on the surface. You're not going as deeply as you could. There's room for you to go deeper, and so I think that in some ways that's if you, the what's being said to me is that if you want to be effective with your clients and influential and influence the sort of forgiving of the world, as we just talked about through lighthouse branding, then you have to go to a deeper place with it yourself. You have to be
Hmm.
more dedicated, more committed, more studious, more focused,
Hmm.
all those things. So I think that that's, as I do it, then the synchronicity is that my movie changes and it mirrors, the deeper place I'm going to,
I
if that
see.
makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. So that's why it's so important for us to stay on these positive vibrations and stay in this forgiveness mindset, because our actions don't just impact ourselves in our own lives, and our thoughts don't just impact ourselves in our own lives. They have this ripple effect. And so the beauty is that when we have these synchronistic weeks of good stories and praise reports, then other people around us will also have good results and praise reports for what they're going through. And not just coaches, like every single one of you watching it is an inspiration to someone else. This isn't just what Dave is responsible for. All of us are responsible for being the influencers of light. And so that is our function, to wrap it all up.
Well, actually, yes, beautiful wrap up. And I almost hate to add one more thing, but you just
Oh no.
triggered for me a very important thing, and then I'll really give you the mic to wrap it up again. So, so I wanted to make clear that it becomes more and more effortless to go to that deeper place. You know what I mean? And I really wanted to highlight that it's not like some onerous thing where I remember my mom. She used to say, "Oh, you're so disciplined. You're so disciplined." And I used to say, I don't think it's really that I'm disciplined. It's that there's, as you pointed out at the beginning of the call, there's this payoff that I want, and I just keep following that carrot. I want the good results for myself and other people. And even though I know from past experience that there's a zone of where you're in the flow and you're in a flow state and it's effortless in that state, there are times when I want to be lazy, air quotes, or I just want to be disruptive or chaotic rather than to get into that place where it's just easy. Right. And so I want to emphasize that the pivoting is not about like efforting and hard and it's like it's much more like just making the decision that I would really like to do it the easier way than the harder way, if that makes any sense. So I don't want the audience to be thinking, oh, Dave is like, when he talks about going deeper and deeper, he's like doing some heroic feats of effort. It's really just about making the decision that I want to be happy. I want to do the easy way. I want to let go of the chaos and the hard way of doing things.
Yeah, that really speaks to me right now. I feel like with all the changes going on, I've been really struggling with motivation these days. But and a good analogy I have and I've applied to my life is there was a period, I'm not in this right now, but there was a period where I could go for a run every single morning. I would skip the weekends, but every morning I would go and run 2 miles. It wasn't much, but after several weeks, that 2 miles was effortless and I just kept it up. But in any time where I would take a break, take a week off, that first 2 mile run, the same 2 miles, was suddenly so much more difficult. So, you got to put in that consistency in order to make it easier. So It's hard work in the beginning, though. It is. So you need that nudge, and you need that maybe accountability, or a mentor, or a community that helps you stay on the right path in that beginning, until, like building a habit, you know.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Thank you so much for that. So I will turn it over to you to close us out finally. I'll zip it. And I just wanted to say
No
it's,
worries.
it's always a delight. One of the things about this partnership, this alliance that we have, is that it makes these calls so effortless. They're just so easy to do, and I really credit you with helping to make the flow of this
Oh,
so
thanks.
enjoyable and effortless and miraculous since we've been on that theme. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Well, no, I mean, I think you've wrapped it up too. These are free flowing miracle conversations. We just always want to thank the audience for watching and listening. If you're listening on the podcast, just, as a call to action here, just remember that mantra. Let me find it again. Let me say it in the right words. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. I would fulfill my function that I may be happy. It's a bit of a long mantra to repeat throughout your day. You could memorize it, after a little while. But yeah, if you have to read it off of a notebook and take that with you at least for the next month, until we give you another homework assignment in the next episode. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for being here, Dave. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, Brittany. See you the next time. Yeah. Bye,
Okay.
everybody. Yep.
Bye.